is live, so we can actually do the data. We can actually run the test. Yeah, perfection. Yeah, I'm bad at that, bro. Yeah, getting away progress. I know. It's this walking, contradiction at times. When I know this is how I want to be, this is how I envision things, and I usually end up turning that into fuel and saying we should just work harder, work harder, work harder, work harder. And that has worked. That has worked. That has absolutely worked in my favor, except that one area when it comes down to, you should be resting. Right? Everything is good. Everything's you're ahead of schedule. You should just kind of just take the time to rest. Don't rest. Right? I don't rest well. And a lot of people that I know me can attest to that. Terrible with that. But look, we're gonna work through stuff that I said. I took notes. So nice guys finish up. This is just want to disabuse people of this fact of the conversation that we're having when we say stuff like that is wholly about all things being equal. Well, all things are not equal. Realistic, all things are not really equal in that case. What is happening in what we end up talking about is you have a nice guy who is kind. He's gentle. He's all the things that we were told to do. He writes the poetry. He throws his jacket onto the puddle so you could walk across it so your shoes don't get wet. That's the nice guy. And then the bad boy has a leather jacket. Like, I'm thinking, for those of you that show my age, about like Grease. So if those of you remember watching Grease, like that. The cigarette in his ear. Right, the one that really just doesn't care about your feelings, the one that likes to curse at you, the ones that doesn't, reply to your text, the one that has you going crazy. That's the bad boy. The one that really will tell you to the face, no, you're Tuesday. Whatever reason, when you line those people up, you like that guy. So when we say nice guys finish last, we say, yeah, when you do the right thing, as society told us, you don't really get what you're supposed to get. That's a nice guy. He's stable. He's got a good job. Typically, the nice guys do well later on. Then later on, that's when the tension comes. That's when women can be like, yo, I've always liked you. And then he's presumably inexperienced, so he's super excited just to be there. That's the nice guy. We saying it takes him about 15 to 20 years to finish. And, I know when women complain about men, not lasting long enough, 20 years may be a little too much. I think that's a fair assessment. The thing that what we end up really want to understand and talk about, in a sense, sure that doesn't sound weird. Let's have that real conversation. The video I posted was about women trying to change the definition of that, saying that the nice guy doesn't have anything going for him. This is why we don't mess with him. No, he does. He's got the stable job. He just is the guy you come to later, much later on in your life. That's really is. So another video. So it's about cougars, about older women, younger men, and she was making it seem as if men have a problem with that. Listen, no, we don't. If you want to date a young man, please have fun, go at it, knock yourself out. What we're saying as men, we don't really have as much of an issue with it. We have an issue when you can't highlight what you're doing as, isn't that the same thing you accuse men of doing? You call it gross, you call it disgusting when they do it, but it's fine when you turn around, you date a dude in his 20s. We're just saying you understand that he doesn't have good intentions, right? It was a rite of passage back in the day when we were younger. It was a rite of passage. I remember, I didn't even call it date. I was on the college campus. I was in Queens College, and it was some community day. A bunch of people out there on the quad, and this older woman, she came up and she was like, hey, I haven't seen you around here. I'm such. Can you help me get to such and such? I was floored. Gorgeous older women, right? Black, skin not cracking. Gorgeous. I walked to her place and then walked us to the class. And then she was like, you're not going to ask me for a number? I'm floored, but I'm flattered. It didn't even cross my mind. This is someone that would be actually interested in me. I was thinking, I'm young, dumb. I have nothing but a hard work ethic and an even harder you know, penis. But I didn't think that this is going to be something that would be great for the rest of my life. When you just do the math, when he is 40, you're going to be 60, 70. Okay, that's it. That's it. Also, the same things you use to just, say these men ain't shit. Right? He doesn't have a job. He's not making 6 figures. All that. All of a sudden, that doesn't apply. If you give these young men grace, how about you give men your age grace when it comes down to the very same thing? It's gonna take me time to get my shit together too. Okay, you give that person grace. You don't give me grace. Come on. Let's be real. What is it that you want? What is it that you're looking for? If we're just having a fair conversation, that's really it, right? That's really it. But when you make up your face when you see a young man, you see an older man dating a young woman, you say all the things. She doesn't have any experience. She doesn't know you better. You think he knows any better at 20? Right? He balancing a checkbook, a 401k. He has no idea about any of these things. Any of these things. So I just want to say let's have a fair and honest discussion about what we're looking at, what we're doing. That's it. Can we be legitimately fair about it? That's not asking a lot. Be real about it. Be fair about it. Hey, I'm fine with these rules when it works for me. I don't like it when it works for you. Let's call that, right? That's where it is. I enjoy when things work out in my favor. I don't like it for you. You shouldn't do that. If we just you'd be surprised how often people are disarmed when you're just real with them. Yeah, no, I don't care that you like that. I like it for myself. I know it's unfair. Okay, and we don't have anything else we're supposed to argue about. You got it, chief. Don't worry about it. I remember high school. This woman that went on to be, my girlfriend for a couple of years. The quintessential Dawson's Creek episode, right? It's your best friend, has known each other, and now it's in that weird stage where I'm square in the friend zone. Been in the friend zone for years. Friend zone. Just consider her my best friend. She lived 2 houses down from me. All that stuff. She said to me one time, this is how far in the friend zone I was. She said, I don't want to date you, but I don't want you to have a girlfriend. And I took that and ran with that. Like, wow, progress. Progress. Look at me making moves. I'm on my way. Oh God! That's what I thought. That's legit what I thought. Like, yeah, that makes sense. This is great for me. I'm happy from nonsense. It was legit nonsense. Right? Eventually, we got there, but that was, helping her through bad boyfriends, all that. One big yeah. Listen, it was wonderful. There was a lot of firsts with her, prom, all that. But it kind of teaches you, if you had a comparison, and if you were wise enough, and if you had a dad that told you all about this. My dad didn't do anything like that. He just told me focus on my schoolwork, which he ended up being absolutely correct. Focus on your work, and then you'll be much better off for the experience. I didn't listen. yeah, I didn't listen at all. So put that to the side. Right, we're going through the list in the effort of running our little test, running our little experiment. And I gotta say, the mobile is doing very well versus whatever this stream is not getting any type of attention. Actually, that sucks. Yeah, everything is fine over here. Yeah, it's just not getting any love. So it's my preferred way. I actually like to stream on OBS. But we'll give it time. That's why we have the list. We work through it. So again, if you're new here on the mobile, right, subscribe to the channel, or at least hit the like button, so the algorithm knows it's real. That's really all we can do at this point. Going forward, what are we talking about now? What's next on the list? Yeah, it's about the dry begging. It's about the dry begging that has become part and parcel of dating. I saw that this news program was covering we covered this as well. A woman saying that a man, she canceled a date because he didn't pay for the Uber. Right? He picked a restaurant, he made reservations, he communicated with her well. They met previously, and because he didn't send her an Uber, even though she was trying to say like, well, she would probably decline it, but it was raining. So he didn't send the Uber, so she canceled. She said, yeah, I'm good. And then he said, yeah, I'll get rid of the reservation, no problem. This news station was covering it, saying, yeah, it's this new thing that women are expecting men to pay for their Uber. And it was a trio, one guy, two girls, the guy and one of the other women, they were white, and it was a black lady. And she was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. It's about safety. You don't want people to know where you live. You send an Uber, he's gonna know where you live. The white dude was saying, yeah, of course. He's saying, yo, you pay for the date. He's like, I don't know about an Uber. That doesn't make sense. Both of them said, yo, I'm just happy that I'm married, that I'm not dealing with this. I tend to side the same way. If we're going to meet somewhere, get there on your own volition. If you can't, if you're broke, just say that. Is that fair? If you broke, just say that. You can't afford it. I can't make it happen. Please pay my way so I can get to myself. I can't make that happen. Just say that. No harm, no foul. Just say that. I'm broke. It's just, at what point are we looking and saying, that other article that came out said the average cost of a date in 2025, 2026 is over $200, like $250. At what point are we looking and saying, okay, if you still expect men to support this cost, you keep heaping other things on top of it. People just looking and saying, I may want a date, I just can't afford it. It's just outside of my price range. It's outside my league. I can't do anything about that. Just leave it at that. I can't do anything about that. I got to let it rock. Congratulations. Then you can continue to complain that men aren't doing this. Men aren't showing up in this. Are we paying attention to the economy? Are we paying attention to interest rates, into what the market's doing? Did you invest in SpaceX? Did you get rug pulled? Did you see how much money is leaving the, no. Well, let's be real. But you won't accept these type of dates. Besides that, we're talking about, I think that's just another facet of how we're looking at dating today, and just, it's begging, right? It's begging. You just meet him and he's supposed to pay this for you. Immediately off rip, he's supposed to do this X, Y, and Z. It's just straight up begging. I think that's how most people are looking at it. That's how most people are seeing it. Straight up and down begging, right? We just met, I'm supposed to pump your gas. I'm supposed to pay for your groceries. Why? Like, why? I've yet to see anything that it's all guised under, well, that's what a provider does. Okay. Right? That's your idea. That's how you see it. That's what a provider is supposed to do. Maybe. How do we get there? How do we determine that? You got to be the one that said, this is what provider men do. It's always a convenient thing that makes your life easier, not anything that helps his life. So at a certain point in time, can we just be real and say, you want to spend someone else's money, not that you don't have your own money. We have to hold the two fictions together. You're doing better than men. You got more money than men. Yet you want to spend men's money. You don't have money to spend on your own. Which is it? Right? It's just which is it? And I know I'm talking for myself, but when I was younger, it was a point of pride not to beg. It was a point of pride. You'd rather go without than beg someone for something that you just couldn't hack on your own. If I didn't have the ability to pay for this, then I'm just kind of going to be quiet about it until I can put my money together and get that thing. That's just how we looked at it. Right? That's really how it was. Yo, I'm struggling to do this, and this. Damn, it sucks. I know, but if I work it out, then I can get down to exactly what do I actually need versus what is an actual want. Then I'll be better off for it. Yeah, Senators, to identify targets they can use. Absolutely. I supposed to start with that spice demands up front. That's a good point. That's a really good point. If you lead with sex, and those that stick around to have the conversation means those are willing. So yeah, I've known from friends who talked about, you know, sometimes when they would go internationally, go out of state, they'd create profiles that would say, I'm just looking for sex. That way, you know, any interaction you got on that was strictly about that, was 100%. Yeah, man, that's what I'm looking for. So there's no muss, no fuss, no questions. Just like, that's what it is. 100%. Hey, I'm looking for sex. Why do you sound surprised? You clicked on, you accepted, you matched with me. I mean, they would go law of averages. They would just go and swipe. And whoever, hey, you must be down. So yeah, you might be right on that, where if you start with the essentially begging, then naturally he's going to be someone that agrees with it. Oh, I need a provider. I need a real man pays for this. I need a generous man. So naturally, what's supposed to happen? Those that accept those terms already accept it and they're willing to do it. Right? The man who isn't, yeah, dinners, flowers. Yeah, you're right. It's the very same thing. It's the very same thing. I want to know up front if I can use you for resources. Thing is, we know, just like those men saying, I'm just looking for sex, you know, they're there for that night, for that exchange. Men need to understand that the minute you put yourself in that position, you're signing up for that very same existence. You're a paid pig, right? You get some type of weird fetish out of this. And listen, we don't kink shame, but if that's what you need, that's what you need. The rest of us kind of like, this is why I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate. We should better separate the dating pools. That's what we need to do. If this is what if you want the sugaring type of thing, then you need to go over there. We need to be explicit about it. That's what happens over there. You convince men that they should do X, Y, and Z over there. If you're into, if you know, you have some weird fetish and it's the most important thing to you, you need to find people that agree to that. If you want to be celibate, you need to find people that are in that pool where you can go and entertain and have fun with them. We end up all being in the same dating pool, and this is when stuff stops making real sense. When you have people having, like take the 50-50 conversation, the super duper popular 50-50 conversation. This is I think it's a $300,000 a year conversation. That's what you probably need to afford that comfortably. And that's still within limits. You know, she has to have no debt coming into that. She has to be somewhat still frivolous with money. She may not have to coupon, but she can't be wasteful. That's the real conversation that's being had. What people imagine is she's making $50,000 a year. You're making 55, maybe 60. And she's saying, you got to pay all the bills. And I say these are separate conversations because some of the women saying this are over here in the inner city versus being in the suburbs. This is a suburb conversation. We're not saying that you can't get yourself from the inner city to the suburb. People do it all the time, but they do it with a concentrated effort. They don't do it by screaming at their significant other, you're supposed to take me over there. He's like, no, I'm in the hood with you. I don't have the means to make that happen. I never demonstrated the means to make that happen. I'm probably going to be destined to be right here with you at this sub 6-figure thing. But together, we're at 110. Together, we can probably find ourselves to the suburbs. But together means we both have to work. Then the attitude comes. Then the expectation. Wait, you mean I have to go to work 40 hours, come back, raise the kids, do the chores, and you don't do anything? That's just a poor relationship. That's a poor relationship where you guys haven't negotiated what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to contribute. Realistically, you're both doing chores. Do you want to be the one are you better at cooking than him? That's why you cook more? He grills, he does outside chores. The division of labor has always been there. You just get mad when they told you you're supposed to be mad. I said, look, you let him get away with that? How could he do? What do you mean? Everything outside concerning anything external, the cars, the roof, the furnace goes back, anything, he's supposed to be responsible for that. Even if he can't fix it, he's supposed to get it solved. Washer dryer goes out. What happens? You're not busting out tools, flashlight. You expect, yo, go do that. Go take care of that. Yeah, okay. Lawn care, yeah, go take care of that. Car oil changes, gas, yeah, go take care of that. We just got to the point where people started screaming about the division of labor and said, I don't get paid for all this unpaid labor I do. Acknowledge me. Yo, okay, we hear you. But part of that conversation has to be like, yo, realistically, you do this because you're best suited for that. I'm best suited to do this. Biggest problem with modern relationships, to me, look to compete. Not enough look to compliment. Yeah, I'm not good at this. If we take down to something, even just like cleaning, even just cleaning, it's everyone's responsibility to keep the place clean. But the standard of clean for men is not like the same standard of clean for women. Even when we're not together, you're single, I'm single. You clean more than I do. You clean more than men do. Offer it. That's just a natural thing. You clean more men than men do. How he does it, you feel it's wrong, so you follow behind him. You say he's wrong. Yo, you didn't do it the right way. You didn't do it this way. No, this is good for me. I remember when one of the things, I was a kid that was always asking my father why. Right? I was the why kid. I always wanted to know more why this is happening, why this is happening, why this is happening. So sometimes he would entertain the conversation until he was just like, all right, now go check the Britannica encyclopedia that we have here. Go look this thing up. Take a look for yourself and find out what the answer is. Okay, fair. But the first time I stumped him, I said, Daddy, why do we clean the outside of pots? If all the magic is happening inside, why do I need to clean the outside? If I can make sure that nothing is transferred from the outside into the inside, why do we clean the outside? He looked at me, he's like, yeah, that's good. He was like, that's good. That's a good one. Right? I'm here asking why the sky blue. He's telling me refraction, all this other good stuff. But yeah, outside pots don't make any sense. I was like, yeah. I mean, he's like, you're still doing it. I said, yeah, still clean it, but that was me. I was always wondering why this happens. Why do we do this? Inquisitive. So now, why we're not asking ourselves, okay, I'm better at these things, you're better at those things, but when we come together, we kind of make up for each other's lacks. You want me to pay all the bills, then come back and still do the same division of labor like you do. Okay, that's not really equitable. Equitable is both of us working, both of us contributing proportionally what we can, or hey, he pays more of these things, I do this, my money goes into investments, he pays all the rest of the bills. This is how we build the wealth, this is how we get ahead. Instead, some of the conversation today is coming about, hey, no, if he doesn't pay all the bills and you have to work, then this isn't a relationship you should be in. He doesn't really love you. Oh, if you're working, you should keep your money for yourself. What are we doing? Then you even look at some of the laws that UK is proposing to change, where they want to find ways to still include unmarried couples that have lived together for X amount of years. You still, if things go south, you still want to maintain or give some sort of palimony, right? Palimony in the event of that person, your significant other's death, you want to be able to inherit his stuff, even though you guys aren't legally together. So this has men looking more like confused. What is it? How can we set this up in a way that makes sense? And I think people do it a lot, just not online. When you have this weird complaint that you don't want to be taken advantage of, marriage is slavery. When you get to this point, then you say you don't see a point in getting married. And then men say, okay, I agree. I agree. Now something's wrong with the men. They're not around. Greatest trick feminism ever played. It was convincing the world that 1950s was some kind of, yes, middle class women in the 1950s were some of the most, listen, I was having this very similar conversation where we were talking about, well, women couldn't have credit cards up until 1974, 1975, like they claim. I'm like, no, that prevented the discrimination of it. It's not to say that these things weren't occurring. You had your accounts, you had credit cards, you had stuff like that. It just prevented a bank from saying, no, where's your husband? Other banks were like, nah, come have an account. That's what it made. It federal, made it nationwide. So, and even if we look at stuff like that, you didn't suffer under that. You didn't suffer under that sort of system and that society. So now when you move like this and use that as justification for something that happened before you were born, 10 years, 20 years before you were born, it's an unlimited wealth for you to constantly visit upon. Well, women move like this today because men have to pay because back in the day they did this. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything like that to you. I wasn't around. I wasn't born. I wasn't part of the class oppressing you in doing anything like that. No, I wasn't. So if you want to use that as justification why men are supposed to pay all the bills and you're supposed to coast, it's flimsy. A lot of this stuff is just flimsy. You want to talk about how men are supposed to do things because you might have to have, because you might be the one, because if we get married or you have a kid, we can't share childbirth. You're the one pushing. You're doing exactly what your body was designed to do. Just the same way, if I'm providing, I can't say, well, we can't share this. You're looking at me saying that's what you're supposed to do. So now what we want to do, we want to give credit for what you're naturally gifted at doing. You naturally have, some of you are naturally, cleaner than men. But now that men lack, you like, no, hit him, kill him with fire. He should do it to this standard. Okay. If he does, then what's the payoff? What's the trade-off? At what point can you acknowledge we're both doing things differently, but for the betterment of this relationship together? That's why judicial system found it necessary to force men to pay their damn. Absolutely. I got no problem with you going child support. You got a deadbeat such and such. He not helping? No, take him child support. I recommend a couple of my friends. Take the threat of child support off. Go put yourself on child support. You can't see the kid? Put yourself on child support. You're not going to have an argument over here with me about justice system, especially when you look at the way alimony is supposed to be structured. What divorce laws came about back in the day when men were the one working and she was staying home. Now the divorce happens, she still needs a leg up. She needs a way to make this thing even while she gets her life together, while she ramps up her earning potential. Shit makes sense to me. No argument there. I get the necessity of it. We just have to acknowledge the abuse of it. That's it. How it can be weaponized, like anything else in this country, like anything else humanity has ever touched. Given enough time, people are going to find ways to take advantage. And then it becomes incumbent upon a government to say, we got to close that loophole. Just like the tax code. You find something that is unduly, unfairly advantageous to one party, you got to go in there and clear it. Got to plug it. Just like a patch, just like, when iPhones first came out and people were jailbreaking it. Need a patch. Need to go fix that. That's all it is. Need to go update it. Go fix that. If people were taking advantage of it in one way or another, I suggest when I got divorced, when same-sex married couples got divorced, I know which one to give everything to. That's a good question. But one is always deemed more masculine, right? Right? What is always deemed more masculine. So that's the one that we end up sort of hammering in those cases. But that's good. Maybe you go with the one, oh, she's prettier, so give her the house, give her the kids, give her. I think they tend with the one that say they have kids, like in vitro. The one that carried the kids, I think, gets a little more leeway there. Okay, two doesn't have a child, yeah, and they get divorced. The one that actually carried them, I think they give them a little more consideration. Now, if two lesbians have an adopted set of kids, that's the question, right? That's the question. You think the judge just tosses a coin up and says, I don't really know how to make sense of this, how to make this happen. So you guys get to decide, fight it out. Maybe sit there and fight it out. That's an interesting way to think about it. But yeah, it's just, we're better. I think we're better together. And this is a conversation I was having with a dear friend, and we stumbled upon the conversation about, what do you bring to the table when men are saying that, how women have become so obsessed with coming up with new quips, new ways to say something differently? What do you lacking that I need to bring to the table? Or, you know, the Leslie Jones, I am the table. The only thing that states should be able to mandate is whether the parents agree to 50. Yeah, listen, even if, yeah, when you say 50-50, we're saying 50-50. Why is one parent still getting, you know, child support? If it's 50-50, we're talking about for the kids. For the kids. Why is it then 50-50? If you were kind of concerned that, okay, you both parties work, doesn't work out, you split. The mom, you know, is making less. So you both have the kids, but the dad is still required to pay you child support because there's a difference, the standard of living. Isn't that one of the things that you just say, well, this is kind of a natural consequence of, yo, we got divorced, so things are going to be more expensive for both of us. We're now living separately. So you do what you can within the limits of what you can. You want to make it fair for the kid. Like, you don't want one kid, when he's with you, to be in hockey and not in the other. He's still in hockey. Whenever people say, yo, you've got split custody, 50-50, you guys alternate weekends or whatever, it makes sense. I don't understand why one person still ends up paying child support. And then especially when we don't even pay child support, it's the proudest thing I do in my life. Yeah. It's just, at what point is it making sense? Because now this is sort of the abuse. We get into that sort of angle when people sit there and like, okay, I'm not going to live up to what I could potentially be making because then I would change the face of child support. You know, when you see some of these men saying, I'm just not going to get a job, I'm going to job off the books. I couldn't imagine doing all this and eventually, you know, essentially shorten out my kid, but living a life where I'm not living up to any of my potential just because I want to avoid paying. Now, then you have the other side of it when child support puts that man basically living in a car, and then he shows up to court and they're like, yeah, man, child support is $3,000 a month. He's like, I make 25. I make 25. What am I supposed to do with this? That's a good question, sir. That's an excellent question. How do you find yourself in any position to do any type of good at all? But this is where it sometimes gets weaponized. I get every Sunday, I mostly cannot be away from my child. This is, yo, listen, you're speaking complete facts, Jimmy. I don't, like, think about all the stories of the deadbeat fathers out there that have, that want to do absolutely nothing with their child. And then the thought of the other people, other men that you used to wake up every day to your child, used to go to sleep to your child. And then it's just gone. It's ripped away. You know, see when the fathers are opposed child support, so they against the mother support. Yes. Or they, and there are a lot of instances. Some instances were just, they're totally upset that she moved on. She no longer wants to be with that. I was good for the school year and goes to his mother for the summer. Yeah, I would, if I had to get a division, that would be what I would want. If that had to be how it was divided, that's how I would want. I want to make sure the times when discipline need to be instilled and I get to watch you grow and understand new concepts, new ideas, see you struggle with problems, and then you get it, and that inkling, that aha, that eureka moment, that would be, I would prefer that rather than, hey dad, I'm bored. Right? Hey dad, I'm bored again. All right, go play the game. I'm bored again. But you go from seeing your child every single day, that bright spot of joy, now, and sometimes because nothing you did, but because this is kind of what is in vogue. This is what's popular. Now it's, yo, go off and do your own thing. Go enjoy your life somewhere else. You know, go out. The streets are calling. The streets have such a alluring siren call. Like, I got to go out there. I got to see what's happening in the streets. So that's it. You go, you leave. You break this whole family up. But it's convenient. It's comfortable when you know it's probably going to favor you. You're going to have to pay. The man's going to have to pay. You're going to be entitled to half of this, especially, yeah, I've known a couple of guys who, right at the cusp, they just put in their retirement papers. They're done. It's like 20, 25 years done. Wife came and said, perfect, divorce. Right, perfect, want a divorce. And he's just now on Zillow looking for apartments. Just like that. Now, it's I'm not really bothered by that because I didn't really like him. right? Just be fair, I didn't really like him. So that happened to him. I wasn't really broken up about it. But this is the truth that a lot of men sit there and face. When you actually want to be part of your kid's life daily, they're the ones that usually get women in situations that like, no, I don't want a piece of that. And on the flip side, you got great moms dealing with ain't shit dudes. You like, yo, what the hell? You struggling. You haven't seen your kid, and you saw your kid 4 times in this year, but you want to sit there and fight me over everything else? Yeah, man. Listen. So, man, I didn't like the dude. I didn't like the dude. You don't want them the short man complexes when, and this happens frequently to me. People think I'm concerned with whatever is important to them. Yo, you're supposed to do this. My ego is not attached to any of these things. And to be fair, I'm not the easiest person to get along with, especially when my ego's offended. So one of the things I needed to do early on is work on that, is make sure I can keep my ego out of things. So I don't tend to care about a lot of things, but when I do care, then I need to come out there and like, all right, I got to destroy this. I got to do what I can. That's really what happened. Hey, so when they started saying stuff, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. When it does happen, it does happen. Now I'm upset. Now I got to get involved. That's really the case. So when they have this assumption that I'm supposed to be upset at something that they're talking about, I was like, yo, don't bother me. Don't bother me. But now you try to play me like that, and I'm from New York. I can't allow that. So now I got to come after you. So then when he was announcing, no, she asked me for divorce, I just left the room so people didn't see me smiling about it. That was the nicest thing I could have done. I think that was a nice thing for me to do. Yeah. So in this case, the child support, I get its usefulness. But when we see cases where, like Anthony Edwards, where it's a money grab. It's a flat out money grab. When we understand basically what it costs for you to raise a kid, why do you have some people come in and say, nah, I need $18,000 a month. I need $35,000 a month. Yeah, that's mama support. That's mom support. That is complete mom support. One of my old friends years ago, he was a cop for NYPD. I don't know if he's probably retired by now, but he said if he was reincarnated as a hot woman, he said he would drop out of high school, get a gym membership, and just get pregnant by a firefighter, a cop, and a garbage man, and just collect. And that was a canon event for me. That stuck with me. I was like, damn, that is a solid plan. Just the way the code is written, that's a goddamn solid plan. Damn. Anyway, so there's rampant abuse, and it just doesn't seem as if there is any concerted effort to go and adjust and fix any of that. Probably because we don't vote as a monolith, as men, as a block, and say, you need to change these things. Otherwise, we're going to withdraw our support and monetary support and such. That's probably the best way to go about doing it. But as it is, I think the last big change was a lot of states got rid of paying alimony, like, indefinitely. That was a big hit, and plenty of people ended up being frightfully concerned about it, trying to protest a lot of that. But to the segue, one of the videos I saw today was a woman kind of complaining. She made some good points. She said, listen, you're not going to marry a rich man, a wealthy man. She defined wealthy as he's got disposable income. So she's like, when you want men to give you money, when you're upset that they don't give you money, you turn around and you're upset. It's like, these men don't have money to give you. They're not rich. You're not going to marry rich. You're going to be in the same station that you are. You make the 50, he makes it 50, you guys make 100 together. You want a man that is over there making that type of money. But she was saying that for that reason, when people get married, they don't really make any money. They don't really build wealth. They're just passing money from one person to one person, either party. And I wanted to do an in-depth sort of breakdown of what she was saying, because at first it started like, yeah, you're probably not going to marry rich, but you getting married it's one of the faster ways for you to actually get to build wealth. said the average married couple has a net worth of $432,000 versus single. Is damn near negative. It's obvious that all the people complaining about, I'm not going to go 50-50, or going 50-50 is the same thing as paying 100% of the bills. It's not. You don't need to be a mathematician to understand that. You don't need to understand any type of formulas to get that. You're not making sense. You're not making sense. Of course it's easier. Especially if you both understand, have that same attitude of like, we're trying to do this better. Living off one person's salary and then stacking the other one was always the idea, was always the goal. That was what people looked at. And then she brought up, you're not going to be Jay-Z and Beyonce. When we look at athletes, entertainers, we understand those are minorities, right? We understand that those are the one-offs. Those are the lottery winners. When again, if you're not afraid of the math, when you go and look further and further back, you'll see, yeah, those are the one-offs. Those are the anecdotal situations. Those are the, I knew a guy that did X, Y, and Z. I knew a guy that made a bunch of money. That's what Jay-Z and Beyonce are. They're people you knew that made it. That's not reality for you. That's nothing close to reality for you. Reality is you're probably gonna have to work and make something happen together. That's not necessarily a bad thing, it's a poor thing. That's just what it is. Thinking that someone's supposed to come and save you and make it for you. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you have so many people believing this, that the minute he tells you should actually work, you might have to work, you think, no, I just have to go find a rich person. And you're not in the runnings for the, I'm just finding me a rich man, competition. You don't look the part, you don't know the right people, you're not in those circles, you don't have the type of education, you don't know anything about these people, but you swear that they're supposed to be there, surround yourself, and then they're going to make it happen for you. What are we talking about? What are we really legitimately talking about? That's not how any of this shit works. I wish it was. If it was, then Disney would have been spot on. And we would have, there would have been plenty Aladdins, there would have been plenty Cinderellas. They're just not. They're the adaptations of very scary, grim tales where things go left usually. You're probably going to have to work. 72-74% of couples, they both work. Married couples, they both work. And it's just, sit down, do the math for half a second, and you realize, yeah, it is actually cheaper if we do it like this. As long as we go into it with the idea that we have to save our money, we have to live below our means, it's always easier that way. Yeah. So the other thing that I found as coming up on this has a better time, 47 minutes. The other thing came about, I think a lot of people they enjoy looking at the definition of things and then saying, I'm going to call it something different. Especially when the way male terminology. Now they're saying it's not a compliment to be called wifey. It just means that you want someone to be used for unpaid labor. You want a slave. Wifey was because you had a certain character, right? You were softer, you were nicer. That was wifey. You were gentler. You weren't as rough as some of the other women out there. You weren't as masculine. That was a wifey, right? You talk to me nice. Not about, she really can cook. That's definitely a plus. You can cook. Wow, that's incredible. But you're nice to me. I don't want to do you dirty. You're very nice, right? You came from a great family. You're in church. You're very nice. Not you're out here 1 a.m., right? Swinging on men, drinking straight from the Hennessy bottle. That's not wifey. You're out there showing everything, all your body parts, all the nice fat parts of your body. We're seeing all that. That's not really wifey, right? That's really what men. Now, because you want to be upset with men, now wifey is a derogatory term. So you want to take advantage of me. You want me to do this unpaid labor. You want me to be your emotional tampon. No? Yeah. That absolutely not. Right? That's just the stuff that to me ends up being absolutely weird. That this is how we end up defining a lot of this stuff. Doesn't make any sense to most of us. Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about in terms of Mama's Boy. You're right. Yeah, I sometimes, you know, sometimes when people get on lives, or people just want to have that connection and they're not clear, they want the interaction. I say, okay, cool, right? But I don't. Yeah, if I'm saying something wrong, let me know. If I'm not making sense, let me know, right? Yeah, yo, Zombie, appreciate that. We're gonna be here, man. We're gonna be here doing the work. Yeah, if I'm saying something wrong, and this is just musings that I had, right, as the day went on, as I'm trying to create more content, get the videos together, get the videos out. Some of the stuff that's kind of keeping us apart. We change the terminology. We try to pretend like this thing means something that it's not. Wifey's bad now. Right? Being a good girl's bad. Now we have this, and we've had it for such a long time. Celebrating being a 3 or 4, saying, yo, hoes be winning. That used to be a thing we joked around about back in the day. Not the truth. Yo, hoes be winning. That didn't mean that you were supposed to now go out and be a hoe. That was like, no, this is, it looks good because they're getting the things that you associate with dopeness. You look at this and say, yo, it's dope that she gets to be on this yacht. She gets to go here. And you think that's the end all be all. Now it's dope. No, there's nothing sadder than an old hoe, an old 3 or 4. You see them. You see them out there. Maybe you don't see them. Maybe you're upstanding citizens and don't deal with it in any of this. But there's nothing worse than seeing an older woman who has to depend on tricking, who has to sell it, who has to pretend as if she's younger, trying to hold on to that youth when life has been very rough for her. You look at that, you say, damn, I don't want to be like that. Even young hoes look and say, I can't make those mistakes. I got to be better. Got to be more judicious with what I'm doing. You see that loneliness, you see that despair, you say, that's not what it is. But you want to praise it now because you think having a bunch of guys want to trick on you is the way to be. Or you try to do the smart thing. You call it the smart thing. You want to thread the needle. You want to thread the needle. I'm going to be a hoe for a little bit, right? For a little bit. And then I'm going to turn it all around and I'll be dope. And that fails you. That fails you just the same. That doesn't really work. That doesn't turn around and get you anything that you're actually looking for. But some of these people, you can't really help. You just have to look and say, yo, best of luck to you. Right? Best of luck to you. So listen, that was me rambling and trying to collect data and see what I can see with these live streams concurrently running at the same time. My favorite way of streaming, damn, right? Damn, on the OBS, because I get all the accoutrements. It just don't look like it's hitting for the last couple of days. Don't look like it's hitting. It's a goddamn shame. We're gonna run a couple different more experiments. I might try something tomorrow before I gotta skedaddle, go to work. But again, if you are new here, subscribe to the channel, like the stream. It's the best way to support outside of doing super chats and donations. But share the video, double tap that screen. That's one of the best things you can do. I really appreciate you guys for just tuning in for my ramblings. I'm gonna try to do more of this, or just as I'm getting stuff done. Maybe sometimes as I'm trying to edit, or just things that I have in mind, and maybe sometimes just a better way to communicate and go back and forth with you guys, so we can learn more about what you guys as an artist are looking for, what brought you here, what you found, stuff like that, where we can create a channel that's a little more community focused. Besides that, I'll see a bunch of you guys on the next one.